So this is working, and now we need a button here, save marks, just like we had with what's this, in the tech test here we had this button right here, if not submitted, and we have save answers, right? So let's copy this entire thing just after the for each loop there. So come down to the bottom. Where does the for each loop end? Oh, actually it's right here. Now it says that it appears before the if not submitted. So instead of not submitted, it should be if not marked. So what I want to do here is, let's see, I want to see where submitted comes from, and maybe we can do something similar with marked. So let's see here, let's say marked like that. If not marked, then instead of save answers, save marks like this. Click save marks before moving to another page to save your what do you call this, to save your marks, is it? Doesn't make much sense. Let's just leave it at to save. The teacher will figure that out on their own. So let's add marked as part of the variables that we send from the controller. So let's copy this from let's see, mark test. It should have it, I guess, since it wasn't causing an error. So it should have the submitted somewhere here. So data submitted is equal to false. So let's make a copy of this. Yes, wait a minute. I think let's just duplicate this. Now we can put some comments here. Set submitted variable. Here we can set marked variable, and let's just replace wherever it says submitted with marked, like so. So if is set answered test row marked and data answered test row marked is equal to 1, then things have been marked. Good. So what we are checking for here, remember, is in the answered tests table, and we are checking for this particular column right there. Okay, cool. Now that we have marked there, it will show up once we refresh. Save marks. Good. Okay, and then let's add one more button here and call it a day. So that button will be auto mark, and then we can make everything work in the next video. But for now, let's add the auto mark. It will be right next to the unsubmit. So let's find that. Okay, so there we go, the unsubmit button. And just before that, let me duplicate this. And this one I'm going to call, let me just put an A here so I can identify which one is which. I'll refresh, and there's this one at the beginning there. That's all good. But let me change this to auto mark. So this button will be what we call idempotent, where it doesn't really cause whether you had auto marked the questions or not. You can do it 10 or 20 times, just repeat it. But we still need to warn the teacher that what they're about to do might erase their existing work, because let's say, for example, you click auto mark and then it marks one of the questions wrong. The teacher will go in there and change that mark, but then when they click auto mark one more time, it will change that to what it had done before. So it's good to warn the teacher first. So let's just say auto mark let's put an underscore there, and we'll create that function in JavaScript. And yes, so this one requires, instead of danger here, let's put maybe warning, something like this. And when I put warning, the text becomes black. Let's come back here, auto mark. Maybe that's okay. I usually prefer white text, so if you do that as well, you can put text white like this in there, auto mark. But let's leave it out. I think black is more clear what's going on. And then at the end here, we're just going to say auto mark is equal to true, auto underscore mark is equal to true, like that. Okay, cool. And what else do we do here? We need that function auto mark down here. So let's just declare the function to avoid errors. So function auto mark, and we get the E as the event, like that. And all we need really is a question. Are you sure you want to auto mark this test? I don't know what you can write here. You can say something like this will override any this may, it not always will, this may override any marks, custom marks you have saved. So let's start with this sentence instead. Let's put that here. So this this action may blah blah blah, and that's it. Okay, so let's refresh and click here. That's the question, and there we go. Now let's leave these guys some space. They're too close to each other. So let me let's add a margin. So we can add a margin on the button itself. So right here in the classes, I'm just going to say margin X, just so that it's in the sides. I'll put a 1 for both of them. So let's see that. Okay, that gives them some space. Okay, cool. So everything is going well. Now we just need to save this information into the database so that each question in this table can have a mark of its own. What I want us to add before we can save answers here is to add the mark as set as marked button here. So the teacher or lecturer will click on that button to set the test as completely marked once he or she finishes marking all the questions here. That way this test can the student can now see what they scored on that test. Before that, the student won't be able to see anything. So what we'll be doing is, in the answered tests table, we are simply changing this marked to 1. Okay, so this one should be easy to do because we already have code that does something like unsubmit. So all we need to do is repurpose that to, instead of changing this column, to change that column and add a date as well. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm just going to copy the unsubmit test. I want this button to be in between these two, so I'm just going to do this. And instead of unsubmit, this one is going to be set underscore as marked. And maybe we put test in the middle, set test as marked, like this. That's much better. So I'll copy this for my function down below. And all I will do is leave everything and change that set marked like this. Okay, and let's go down here. Let's create a function set as marked. let's get our event, and oops, what have I done? Instead of event, let's just put E and save. So same thing here, we just need to confirm and let it run if the answer is yes. So we'll say you won't be able to mark questions after this action. Continue. Okay, you won't be able to mark questions after this action. Okay, so continue, that's the question. So let's see if that will work. Let's go up there again and change this from unsubmit to set test as marked. So when we refresh, this is what we get, but let's just give this one a different color so that they don't look the same here. So what I'll do is I'll change the set test as marked from button danger to button maybe primary. There's also secondary if you want, because the primary is the blue one. Let's see this one. Okay, so there it is. So that's entirely up to you what color you want to put there, that's all. And from there we want to now be able to click here and edit something. So let's go to the controller real quick here, and that's the mark test controller. And right where we are setting, let's see here, set submitted variable. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for if it's a test unsubmit, we're just going to duplicate this one right here. Okay, so if it's a test, if it's a mark as if it says set as marked, that's what I'm looking for, set as marked. Yeah, so this one has at the end here, let's see, what does it have on the URL? It's set marked. So if that one is true, then let's use it. So I'm simply going to paste that like so. So we do need a date here once we set this as marked. So let's see if we can copy date from somewhere. Did we use date somewhere? Apparently either we didn't or it's too far. So let's just type it, shall we? So here I want the date to be, let's see, date, open close, year, month, day, H, I, S. Okay, there we go. So we have that date, we have the user ID, we have the test ID, and instead of sub date, it shouldn't be submitted date. So we want to set, let's see here for a second. Let's just make sure that we are setting everything that needs to be set. So inside the answered tests table, we're looking at marked, and then marked by, and then marked date. Okay, so marked by, so let me change submitted to marked. So Control D to select those, and that's marked. Oops. Okay, so marked is equal to 0, marked date is equal to, we're just going to leave it as sub date, no problem. Maybe if you want, you can change that to mark date, just so it can represent what you are talking about a lot better. And where test ID and user ID is equal to user ID, so that's fine. But then we need to know who marked this thing as well. So marked is equal to, and let's duplicate this one as well, and marked underscore by, and then here we are getting the user ID. Now the user ID is going to be, let me duplicate here and change this to marked underscore by, and right here as well I will put a full colon and say marked by. Okay, and marked by is going to be set to whoever is logged in, so auth get user underscore ID. Remember, it's a function, so we do that. Okay, so the user ID of who marked, when it was marked, the user ID for searching the particular test, this is the student's user ID, and the test ID. So everything seems to be set here. So let's give it a shot, shall we? So let's click on set as marked, and let's click that. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, so if we come back here, let's see if that actually worked. All right, so we get marked by, and when this was marked, but the problem is we did not set marked to be 1. This one should be 1, like so. That's what I forgot. And yeah, that's about it. So let's come back here and let's refresh. That way it will edit again. Aha, so now it gives me a 1, which is cool. Now once it does that, I think it would be a good idea to refresh the page and let the set test as marked to not exist anymore. Even the unsubmit should not exist. In fact, all three here should not exist. So we should go back to here, and this is where all three are. So we better make sure that they don't show up. So if answered test row submitted, let's see here, or wait a minute. If this was submitted, right, and at the same time it's not marked, so let's say not marked like this, then we show these guys. But if it's already marked, then there's no need to show those babies there. Okay, cool. So let's see if it actually works. Let's remove the marked and make it 0. Forget about the marked by here for now. If I refresh, I should get, wait a second. Oh, the problem is when I am doing that, this set marked is still there, so it resaves, changes that to a 1 again. So let me do that, and let me remove that for now. Okay, so those buttons are back. If I click, they will go again. Okay, there we go. Very cool. Oops, I have put something wrong in there. Let's browse again. Marked 0. Okay, cool. So things are going well. Now in the next video, let's finish up with the marking here. I'll see you then.